seeds tour, greenhouse tour. This is the one we're going to be going on. I got my badge. They will start in a couple, 30 minutes or so. 12:30 is our time. They have for sale here all these little plants, the tiger lily, passion fruit, Venus flytrap, pretty cool. And basil, they come in this little setup like that.
Welcome into our IPM lab. IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management, and these are the different ways that we make sure pests don't get out of control in the greenhouses. We use a couple different strategies for this. The first is called physical control. That's physically removing any pests that we find. We can also use what's called cultural control, which are things we do to prevent pests from getting into the greenhouses. Things like not touching the sand or the plants today, so you're all going to be helping. But my favorite control we use is called biological pest control. And that's by using relationships out in nature to our advantage. For example, I've got two different bugs over here. On the top, we've got some leaf miner flies. On the bottom, some parasitoid wasps. You're welcome to get nice and close to these habitats, just please don't touch them for me. But the bugs are really small, so you can't see them from back there. Now, when we're talking biological IPM, we usually have some sort of pest, then some sort of beneficial insect that helps get rid of the pest. Between the fly and the wasp, which one do you think is the beneficial? They like to lay them inside the leaf. Think of a leaf like a s'more. You got graham cracker on the outside, but the part that we all actually want to eat is the marshmallow in the middle, right? That's what the flies like to actually fall out of the leaves. So the towers that are right over here on our right-hand side are actually going to be the leaf miners as they fall into those little cups there. Once that happens, that larva turns into a pupa. That's when the wasp egg hatches, goes through its life cycle, it eats the inside of the pupa. So instead of hatching out a new fly, a new wasp will hatch out instead. And that's what stops the fly population from getting any bigger. Pretty nifty. Sting us, so it gets too thick for them. So no damage to us in the greenhouses. We also really like them because they eat mostly nectar and pollen, which are things that pollinators do. And that's what plants are used to and expect, so we don't have to worry about the plants getting extra damage. But most importantly, they are native here to Florida. So if one were to get out of the greenhouse by mistake, we're not introducing any new invasive species, so we're also not damaging our environment. A lot of IPM tends to be worked on different crop improvement projects. Right now, they're using environmental growth chambers that control different factors, and they're trying to see how different plants may fare during space travel. If you have any questions about that, unfortunately, because it's a government project, that's literally all I'm allowed to know, so I'm so sorry, I've got no answer. Of that parent plant, which means that if you have a disease that comes through it could wipe out your entire crop. So what a lot of places are doing right now is using a combination of traditional growing methods as well as tissue culturing. So no matter what happens, there's some food along the way. This is primarily used as a technique. Okay, the last person I feel like when we are close, it does tend to get a little bit stuck. All right, ready? Here we go. Alright everybody, welcome into our creative greenhouse. This greenhouse gets its name because we're showing off different creative ways that you can grow plants. Now anytime you're growing a plant, no matter what method you use, you have to consider the 5 things that every plant needs to survive. And here at the land we use the acronym LAWNS, L-A-W-N-S, to know what those 5 things are. And we also make sure that we give them some air time outside of those sprayers so they can drip off the excess water and the roots don't drown. What about our N?
The future of agriculture may include innovative ideas like this virtual
Soil. Medium is anything we put our plants in that provides the support they need. Things like coconut, which is the outside husk of a coconut, or perlite and rock, different kinds of volcanic rock, or sand. But none of those things are actually giving nutrients to the plants themselves, so agriculturally they're not considered a soil. Does that make sense to everyone? Now hydroponic growing is nothing new. It's been around for the last 3,000 years or so. Ancient Egyptians were the first hydroponic growers. But today the practice has become more and more popular because, again, it's a very sustainable way to grow plants. Best example of that is actually across the flume there. Their aquaponics system. This combines aquaculture. And anybody here ever heard of
The future of agriculture may include innovative ideas like this vertical growing system. Held in this way use a fraction of the space required by traditional growing. That saves water and increases production. The aquaponics system underground combines hydroponics with aquaculture.
Anybody have a guess what percent of Disney World's demand for produce 30,000 out there covers? That actually means that we have enough to spare. So you're all going to get the opportunity to try advanced cucumber. Now, a few things. Number one, if you are allergic to cucumbers or melons, please don't eat them. You're laughing, but I have to say it. Second, if you don't like cucumbers, this is completely optional. You do not have to have one. I will say though that these cucumbers don't taste quite the same as other ones you might have had before for a couple of reasons. First, grocers often pick their cucumbers early because they'll last longer on the vine, or on the shelf, sorry. What that means, because they're not on the vine, they're not getting all the nutrients they need up until they are ripe. So they don't have as much flavor. Now, as they come around, anybody here remembers the sensation that was cucumber melon? Smell it before you eat it, you're going to have some flashbacks. This variety of cucumber is called a Davida cucumber. It is an English variety, so this is long and skinny cucumbers, and they've got very thin skin and almost no seeds.
Oh yeah.
Now, nobody has to raise their hand for this. Anybody who's ever gotten kind of gassy after eating? One of the reasons for that is there's a compound in the skins of cucumbers that cause our stomachs to produce gas. But because these cucumbers are right. Alright, come on over here. Also, there's a lot of these hanging up. Every year in Festival of the Holidays, the land puts on what's called a glimmering greenhouse. So some of our people that work with the plants and take care of all the plants also decorate for the greenhouses every single year. It's really pretty. They should be opening the week after Thanksgiving if you want to come see them. Now, because we're using this vertical space going all the way up to the ceiling, we're able to reduce the amount of space that we're using for those sprays, so we can actually add in more fairs we can move on to and get a higher yield from this small area. So vertical growing in vertical space is a lot of what hydroponic growers use to make it a little bit more efficient. So we're going to see that.
You can see is all the vines come up.
So it's not served all the time, but it's going to be anywhere from garden to mill. We don't always have chicken cucumbers. We're going to decide if we don't like them little, they like to hold themselves in half. Now this greenhouse we're coming into, this is called our temperate greenhouse. About 2/3 of the food that we eat as people come from the temperate region of the world. Before we talk about any of the food, let's talk about the sand. Because why are we growing our plants in sand, right? Because we can. Longer answer. Sand's actually pretty excellent growing medium for reasons. Sand's excellent support.
Casa banana. Bark. Passion fruit, fig trees, casa bananas. Coffee.
We harvested one a couple weeks ago that
said that there was one that was 54.5 pounds. Wow, the one largest one was over 90 pounds. Check out those bananas. Cherry, olives, star fruit.
He's a sensitive plant, so he'll close his leaves when you touch him.
Oh.
They do this for a couple of reasons. Sensitive plants will close their leaves when they feel a touching sensation, because A, if it rains, now all the leaves will close, water has a better line to the root system. And B, if a predator is coming, in this case predators are things like deer and other herbivores, they're going to be really freaked out when the plant starts moving on them. And then make sure that everybody's now as Stanley is, he's a weed.
We lived with the land. And now we are off looking around the rest of EPCOT. Let's venture forth. So some very quick takeaways right after getting off of living with the land, behind the seeds tour. Really fun, you know, definitely worth the $35 price tag. If it was $50 a person, I might say, hey, don't go, it's not worth it in that billing. But you know, just a great 1 hour kind of quick tour, able to ask lots of questions, able to feed fish and eat, you know, cucumbers, see all the stuff from a different point of view. It was really fun. Definitely recommend it. Like I said, I think it cost me 35 bucks. I think at most it's 40 something, $42 for full freight. And there was entire big parties that went. Yeah, I think it was really cool. Give it a shot. Spaceship Earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, our time travels have been momentarily delayed. Please remain seated.
Please remain seated. Attention, you are now rotating backward for your return to Earth. Please remain seated, travelers.
So that'll about do it for today here at EPCOT. I want to thank everybody for watching. I would invite you to please, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff there at the bottom. Feel free to make a comment if you see something, you hear something you want to know more about. It's a great way to connect. And speaking of connecting, I invite you to connect with me tomorrow.